Hi guys, welcome to tonight's session. Today we're going to go through our putting in our rafters and doing in our rafter schedules, as well as some callouts and details. So I just want to bring your attention to the step-by-step instructions again. Please make sure if you're not following along that you are going through these. These are very important and very useful. You will need to do it for your practical 3 as well as your project. The other thing that I need you to look at is what is expected for you to submit. Is these two sheets here. So this is what we're going to be getting to. Alright, I'm not going to be going through the step-by-step instructions. I'll probably skip over a fair bit of this and talk through it as I go. So please make sure you do visit it. These aren't completely perfect. As I mentioned last week, all of the footing cross-section that you're showing, you have to show reinforcement in all of the footing beams. This solid line here is due to a horizontal beam sitting in front. So that should be hidden as well. Same within the footing detail. For our footing layout, from the measurements, these gap to witness lines, these drag lines here, you would hide from the drawing. I showed you on Thursday how to hide them. That's from the edit type and editing the properties of the measurements. Alright, so what we're going to be producing is these. Alright, this is what we're seeking for our projects, or sorry, for our practical 3. So, apologies, I'm going to be cutting between two drawings. I'll be cutting between the 2-story as well as a single story. Alright, I need to model a single story roof to show you guys and help you for your practical 3. Most of you have a hipped roof like this, whereas for the 2-story we have a skillion up top. Now before we go into this, just want to come to my footing section. So I'm just going to rename this one here to footing section. Also want to highlight that usually you wouldn't take something this big. You would find one in your footing plan, and you'd probably take these 3 here. Alright, they're much closer together and there's only 3. That's all you need to show. External, internal, external. You don't need to show 100 of them as we come through. So this section probably should have been taken through here, but that's okay. Now, footing cross section, scale of 1 to 20. Our footing detail, scale of 1 to 10. So how do we create this detail? What we do is we go view. We do a thing called a callout. So click on the callout, click once, click again, and what's in that bubble is going to create a new view. Spin this around to the outside, alright, and I'll come back to what this is here in a minute. But what you'll see is when you put it onto your sheets, this up the top will turn into a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that is the drawing number. So if you drag this detail onto the sheet, if it's a 4th drawing on there, this will come up with the number 4. And the bottom here relates to the sheet number that it's on. So if it's on sheet 1, this will come up with S1. If it's sheet 2, it will be S2. So please just be aware of that. But you'll go through more of that in your structural drafting course. So the call out, so right click, go to view. This is what it is. So this here, we detail at 1 to 20, 1 to 10. And this is where we would annotate. So to annotate on it, we would go annotate, text, click with an arrow here, and I might go for the ligatures first. So let's go to here. And these were W10 at 300 centers, W10 ligatures. I can see I can't see it. Now what is that? Well, if I click on here, remember the solid line is for the model and the dashed line is for the annotations. So if I drag this out, that's all that's happening here, is it's cutting out the annotations. So untick the middle one, making sure the other 2 are ticked. This gets rid of the box, and I might just put in a bit more text while we're here. You will do a lot more of this in your structural drafting, but we'll just go through it while we're here as well. 2 to 3 and 28, all in capitals. Bottom. And I have 2 and 20 top. Alright, from here we could also, if we wanted to, come through SL82 mesh. Might have a slab. Alright, whatever details it is that we need. So bring this back on, drags it out so I get that last one. And cool. Alright, so that is a little detail here. Alright, we've put some annotations on here. Shortcut is TX on the keyboard, allows you to write text as well. You'll do a lot more of this in structural drafting, but this will get brought onto your sheet as well. Just to reiterate, when we do sheets, usually it's an A3 sheet. To bring it on, we just click and we drag it across. So we'll alter this, rename. So here's a footing detail. Alright, so detail will tuck in nicely. We'll just fix this up. If I bring in the footing section that I've drawn before, now this one hasn't been tidied up. But what you can see is now I have one S1. So 1 is drawing number 1. S1 is sheet number 1. Alright, so that's where that comes from. So this detail will need to come on. You'll need to do your another section, your roof framing layout and your footing layout. So for the footing plan, alright, making sure to bring it onto the sheet, we tidy it all up. Come back to my sheet and my footing plan will come on somewhere. Alright, let's fix this line up, select it, come across. Okay, so you'll need to be producing the standard sheets that are in here. Alright, so please make sure you are following along. What we're going to do is we're going to do one of these, but we're going to put in our rafters first. So you have done your rafters in construction practice. Now we're going to model it onto the computer. So how do we do it? Well, our rafters, we have to load in a new family. What we're bringing in is we're going to bring in a structural framing, wood, timber. What we want is we want a 140 by 45 MGP10. So let's grab this one here. Let's go back K. Oh, sorry, structure beam gets me my timber beam. Edit type, duplicate 140 by 45 MGP10. Standard rafter, 140mm deep, 45mm wide. MGP, machine graded pine. 10 is the structural grade. So 10 refers to the stiffness, which is 10,000 MPa or 10 GPa. For steel, we've got 200,000. For concrete, between 32,000 to 38,000 MPa, depending on the grade. You'll learn more about that in structural analysis and in your mechanics. So all you need to know is MGP is machine graded pine and 10 is the structural rating. Edit it in here. So my width is 45, my depth here is 140. Apply. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go structure. We're going to do a beam system. So what this does is this creates an array, like we did on CAD. It creates an array of just spaced beams the whole way along the roof. So in the properties, I have a few layout rules. My fixed distance, let's change this one here. Well, actually, let's start by the layout rule. I've got a few different things here: fixed distance, fixed number, maximum spacing, and clear spacings. for different things you'll use different ones. We never really specify a fixed number. Usually it's a fixed distance or max spacing or a clear spacing. Clear spacing, not so much, so usually it's going to be a fixed distance or a maximum spacing. These are the center distances. So let's take a fixed spacing of 900. Alright, so each rafter will have one, then we'll have 900 gap, 900 to the centers. And what this is going to do is, the purpose of rafters is to fix our roof sheets to. So 900 is a good spacing. If we space these out too far, the pressure of the wind hitting the roof sheets, if they're not fixed at close enough intervals, the wind can rip the roof sheets off. You'll learn more about that in your structural analysis. But for now, let's take 900 for our rafters, and our trusses might go to 1200. So let's come to the top. Let's pick our lines. So let's do this part of the roof first. Here, 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 and here. And let's click the green tick. Now what's it done? Not a whole lot. So what you can see is I've actually modeled all of my timber beams underneath my house, which is not correct. Our rafters go on the roof, not on the ground. So let's undo that and let's delete it. Got to work out a way to bring them up. So what we do, and you're going to be using this a lot in structural drawings, is we go beam system and we set a work plane. So if I look at my current work plane, it's at the floor level. So if I set a plane, for us, we're not going to be picking through here. We're going to pick a plane. We're not going to name it. We use the names if we've got our grid systems, but we don't. So we're going to pick a plane and go OK. Highlight it in blue. It's the top of the roof. That's what I want. I want it to follow the work plane or the slope of this roof. So click on the roof, and now let's try pick our lines. So if I can't grab it, tab will filter me through what's under it. Or you can just zoom right in. 900, cool. And my beam type is still my timber. I can flick through everything else here, but this is what I want, is this timber. Green tick. Alright, now that looks a bit better. So if I hide this one roof, so circle through tab, hide element, this is what I've done, is I've put in my timber through here. Cool. Now I need this one here as well. So let's go, same thing, beam system, set plane. You have to do this every time. You have to set your work plane when you're changing roof or if you're changing pitch or slope. Alright. Green tick. There we go. I have these rafters here. Tab, 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 tab. There's the roof. Hide in view elements. So now I have these sitting up here, which is much better. Alright, and now I have to move on to the next one. Before I move to the single story house, a few more things here. The reason for me doing the single story house is, like I said before, that's what a lot of you have. Most of you don't have the skillion roofs here, so we've got a bit more of a complicated roof to do. So let's come through, beam system, set a plane, pick a plane, pick this one here. Let's come through, pick the lines, so not that one, this line, can't grab it, so zoom right in, this one, and this one. And now let's click the tick and see what happens. So what we can see is these are falling the wrong direction. As you know, you learnt in your construction practice, your rafters and trusses span in the shorter direction and also have to run perpendicular to the apex or the ridge. So what it means is from this point here, it has to come 90 degrees. If we look at our example sheet, from the point is 90 degrees. And all of our rafters meet at right angles. So how are we going to change that? Well, let's grab the beam system. Alright, so there's two things I can do. I can either grab the beam system or I can grab the individual beam. If I grab the beam, they're all pinned. Alright, to show you, all of these are pinned. To unpin them, UP on the keyboard will unpin them all. But for now, we need to grab this beam system. We need to edit the boundary. For skillion roofs, this is okay. When we've got hipped roofs like this, every time we draw one, we need to specify the beam direction with a line. We grab it from the point. We come down at 90 degrees. This can be whatever measurement, it doesn't matter if it's 30 millimeters or 3 meters. Alright, and then we click the green tick. And this is what we get. So, same thing on this side. Beam system, set plane, pick a plane, okay. To here. Now let's pick these lines. Trim them all up. Specify the beam direction, 90 degrees from here. Click the green tick. Now, what's going on? These aren't quite lining up, and they have to, they must. Which means there's a mistake. So these are close, but not close enough. So if I pick on these, what's happening? Well, I'm justifying it from the center. Now that might be okay, it might not be. I might have to play around with this a little bit. Got a few different things I can do, but what I know is if I'm setting the direction line from the same point, this is from the direction line, and this here is from the direction line, they will always line up. Okay, so that's what's happening here. So now you can see these rafters are lining up much better. So if I hide this roof, what you can see is these are all marrying up perfectly, and so would the other side. Couple of things. Let's come to our level 1. Let's take a section. Let's go through this back wall. Right click, go to view. Now what's happening? What I can see is my rafter and my roof. So my rafters are sitting on the brick. Now I know that's not true. My rafters need to sit here on my studs. The reason for that is the brick is very brittle. All of the load gets transferred to the external studs. So usually we try not to have any internal load bearing walls. Alright, so usually we don't have any force running to these walls other than its self weight. If we attach a roof or an upper story to it, we have to either have a footing within 500 millimeters of either side of it, or what we're going to have to do is put a thickening here for the slab and then reinforce it accordingly. But you'll learn that in Geo. So for now, what I need to do is I need to work out how I'm going to drop this brick down. But I've got to drop the rafters down as well. So let's go annotate, detailed line. Let's come straight up, escape, and where they intersect. Let's come across. Now let's turn off the roof while we're here. Let's go VV, and let's just hide the roof. So we're just looking at our rafters. So what I want to do is I want to move all of my rafters, SA, from this point to this point. So I can't move it, it's not letting me. So let's try again. What if I select them all, move, let's unconstrain them and disjoin them. Now I can kind of grab some stuff, but not a whole lot. The other thing I need to note is if I move from, say, here to here, nothing really moves. Come to my 3D, if I go Control Z, they did shift, but they didn't come the direction that I wanted them to. More importantly, these rafters here, by selecting them all, these are the same. All of these will move as well. I just want the bottom floor to move, and you'll see this more so when we do this house here. Sorry, I know it's jumping in between, but for your 2-story, your entire ground floor, you'll have to select the beam systems. So click one, Control, click the other, come back to your section, and now move from this point to this point. Delete, delete. So you have to note that you're grabbing the beam systems. The other thing is, well, this is now cutting the brick, which shouldn't occur. Alright, so what we do is we measure from here to here, 62.1. Now drop that brick course down, right click, open and unload. Yes, that's what I want to do. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear this other fan kicking in. That's just my other laptop about to kill itself. Awesome, just turned it off. Alright, sorry. Where was I? The brick. That's what I'm doing. Oh, I've already dropped on this one. So the brick course should be sitting here on yours. So what you need to do, select the brick, edit type, edit, preview, change your preview, and modify. Just like we did to unlock the Hebel down the bottom, this time you're doing it to the brick course up the top. So you'll select the top line here and unlock it. Select the thermal gap and unlock it, and go OK. OK. And then you'll get a wall sitting like this. Alright, don't worry about the ceiling, that's in my drawing. Now, the brick has to come down by 62.1 millimeters. So, annotate, detailed line from here, 62.1, and let's come straight across. Now, we can just drag until it snaps, delete our detailed line, and there's this one. Alright. The other way to do it is I'll do it for another wall as well. Finish full level. So for this wall here, right click, go to view, detail level of fine, zoom right in, detailed line, straight down, 62.1, straight across, delete and delete. So as we can do it, we can either do it before or after. So in our architectural, we could have moved the entire roof down. That would have solved this issue, but doing it after works as well. Also, the detailed lines that you draw, delete them out. Just so you're aware, they only show in the section that you've drawn them in. They will not appear in other places in the drawing. So once you've done that, save it. You have to save it. Close out of it. Now we're back into our structural. Reload it. And this is what we can see. So it connects to the stud, and it misses the brickwork. Cool. From here, we can also, if you would like, you can take a call out around this point. And what this is this call out. If I rename it, this is our, what do you call it, wall connection. This one here, you'd make it a 1, 2, 10. And then from here, you can detail, your expander foam, your seals, and everything else, your cornicing, everything else you've put in here. So that's how we can do this. You'll learn more about that in structural drafting and throughout other studies. I think you've done it in your construction practice as well, but I'll show you a detailed drawing tomorrow. Alright, so that's how we put in our rafters. How long is this going for? Okay, plenty of time. So what we need to do is we need to make a schedule. So right click, new schedule. So what schedules are, is this is our materials takeoff for our project. So we've got many things that we can find in here. We're going to be doing just our structural framing, which is our rafters. We're going to do a cutting list, but we will do it as well for our cut and fill in the next couple of weeks coming up. So what we need to do is come to our structural framing. That's the schedule that we're making, and we go OK. Oh, sorry, actually, let's cancel that. Let's come back. Right click, new schedule, go away. Structural framing. You can change the name if you want to. This can be your rafter cut list or rafter schedule. Go OK. And now we're bringing in some parameters that we're going to use. So what do I want? Well, I can bring in the cost. Alright, I don't really know the cost off the top of my head. I have to go through Bunnings or a timber manufacturer to work that out. But I know I want the count. Alright, count them up, tell me how many I've got. I want to know the lengths of my rafters. So if I'm going to work out the cost, alright, so I'm not going to order this bit, this bit, this bit, this bit all individually. What I'll get is I'll get, if I've got all of these, I might get 20 lengths of, 8 meters or 6 meters. And then on site, I'll get them to cut the lengths that they need. The other thing that we're going to bring in is we're going to bring in a mark. This will make sense in a minute as to why we're bringing that in. But these are what we need. The other things that we can bring in is, well, there's a lot that we can do. But we can create new parameters. We can actually bring in Excel. We can create formulas. We can create all kinds of things here in Revit to get an entire quantity takeoff list or materials takeoff for our project, as well as the costings. You'll learn more about this in structural drafting, but just be aware that it is there. Filter, we will come back to this, but what we do is we filter out what we want. Sorting and grouping, this will make sense when we're looking at the actual schedule, but it's just how we sort them all together. So if I sort by cut length, ascending, descending, let's go ascending, click on grand totals, tell me how many I've got, and let's leave this on for now. Formatting and appearance is just altering the looks of our schedule. So let's go OK. And this is what I get. So I get a few lengths of these, a few lengths of them. These are all in millimeters. Alright, please do not forget millimeters. So 111, 111. Alright, so it's how many of this I've got. And this is what the itemize every instance is doing. If I want to undo that, I've got the properties here. So I do sorting and grouping, but uncheck itemize every instance. Go OK. It now counts them or adds them all together. But the mark is useful. So I don't know what these are. I have two types of structural framing elements. You can guess what they are. One is our rafters, the other one is our footings. So going back to my 3D, select one rafter, SA, select them all. In the properties, let's come down to our mark and let's type this in. 140 by 45, machine grade pine, 10,000 MPa. Apply. Okay. Let's now have a look at our rafter schedule. So these are my rafters. The rest of them are my concrete. So this is where our filter comes into play. Filter out the mark. Alright, this is the mark that I want, and go OK. So this is what I get. This is my rafter schedule for this project. So how do we put it onto a sheet? Same thing. Let's just bring this across for now. Schedules, drag it in, we chuck it somewhere, zoom into it, make it a bit wider. Alright, so it just sits in there somewhere. We'll have ones for rafters, we'll have ones for columns, we'll have ones for concrete. What you'll see is down the track, when we do our concrete, we'll get the cubic meters or the volume of concrete that we have. We'll then get the amount of ligatures, the amount of N12s or the lengths of the N12s, the lengths of the N28s. And in the ligatures, we'll get the schedules to tell us how much the radius of the bend is and all of that kind of stuff. But you'll do that in structural drafting. The other thing to know is if we have a crazy long list, which you probably will get. So I click this break line here, it splits into two. To get it back, just click and drag it over the other. And then grand total of how many rafters I have in my model. Alright, so that's how we do the first bit. Now what I want to do is I want to come through and show you how to do your single story. But what I'm going to do is just pause the recording and do this in another one.